Hey, my name is David Olds, and I'm a real estate investor based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've been doing this for a little over 20 years, wholesaled over 1,500 properties, rehabbed dozens of deals, had over 100 rentals at one point. And my goal with this channel is to try to educate you and show you what it's like to be a real life, full-time real estate millionaire. So let's get into it. If you like what we're talking about here, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, follow, notification, whatever platform you're watching this on, and we'll definitely try to make some more. Definitely throw some comments underneath if you have any questions. I'll do my best to jump on here and make sure that we are answering all of them. So what are we going to talk about today? The question that came to me this afternoon was about scaling your business. And this won't be a super long video, but just let me tell you a little bit of my experience. When I started back in June of 2009, full-time wholesaling in Chattanooga, we were a very small operation. It was me, my brother, my wife, right? Super small little family operation. You know, we did fine. We were doing 3 or 4 deals a month, definitely making money. And I remember I went to this, I paid my friend, his name is Kenny Rushing, one of the real OGs out of Tampa. I went down there and spent a week at his office for some training. And I asked Kenny about scaling up because he had a very large operation in Tampa. And he gave me some great advice that I've remembered for a long time. And basically it was, you know, scaling is cool. Everybody wants to scale because they want to do more business, right? They want to do more volume. They want to be in multiple states. They want to do all that stuff. And that's cool. But there's a cost that comes with scaling. It's not magic. You know, whatever you're making, if you're doing this business by yourself or maybe with 1 or 2 partners, and you're like, well, I want to hire an acquisitions team and a dispo team and a marketing team and a transaction coordinator and, you know, all of these different pieces so that I can scale up or grow my business. Well, that comes with costs. So what does that mean? Payroll, you know, technology costs, right? You're going to have more software, more licenses. You're gonna have to have probably computers. There's just gonna be costs that are involved. And you know, what you're able to do or how you're able to operate your business with 1, 2, or 3 people is going to be different, I assure you, than what your business looks like when you get 10, 15, or 20 people working for you, whether they're in office or remote. You know, what's gonna happen is, you know, if you're making a bunch of money on your own or with a very small operation and you decide to scale, your costs are going to go up, but your profits may not initially, right? Because there's learning curve involved, right? So definitely if you're going to do this, you should get a coach or a mentor, somebody that's done what it is that you're trying to do, because they can really help you avoid all of those pitfalls. But generally speaking, like initially, you've got to fight through that learning curve of scaling. And I can speak to this because I've scaled up, I've scaled down, I've scaled up, I've scaled down, I've scaled up. You know, I've done it a few times. So, you know, I'm very clear at what the expectation is there. And there were times where, you know, I had to make sure that my team was paid and I didn't necessarily get a paycheck, right? And this goes back to what Kenny was telling me is, you know, once you've got those people, now they're your responsibility, right? It's your responsibility to make sure that they're paid because you told them you were going to give them a job and they were going to get paid. And, you know, whether they were commission only, which I don't love commission only deals, you know, I like kind of a blended system where they get some kind of pay and then they're incentivized with commissions or bonuses. But, you know, these people they've got rents to pay, they've got boyfriends, girlfriends, kids, dogs, you know, their kids need shoes, that type of stuff. So you need to make sure that they're paid and paid on time. And that's the kind of shit that as an entrepreneur will keep you up at night, right? When you're by yourself, you're like, hey, I didn't close a deal this week. I don't have any money. No big deal. I'm just going to go out and figure it out next week. But when you've got 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 people on your staff, like now that's a different kind of pressure to keep the machine running so that you have money coming in that you can pay those people, because, you know, the worst thing that can ever happen is not being able to pay your employees. Like, you want to talk about some shit that will keep you up at night, that's it, right? So to scale or not to scale, scaling is fine, but just understand that there's going to be a harsh learning curve in growing that company and hiring, right? Like I was just watching a Gary Vee video and he was talking about firing really fast. Like nobody's great at hiring. We all think we're great at hiring, but we're not, you know, because people come in and they say all the right things. David, I'm going to be the greatest person you've ever had. And I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to do all of these things. And maybe they are, maybe they're not, but you've got to do the training, right? You've got to do the coaching. You've got to work with them pretty much all the time, right? Scaling is not this hands-off thing where, oh, I'm just going to bring this guy in, put him in the chair, give him a script, and he's going to be fine. Like, it doesn't work like that, right? These people are now your responsibility. Your job is to train them to do the best that they can. But, you know, if they're not the right person, you got to fire them and hire somebody else. And, you know, that type of thing will definitely set your business back. So what do I think? Should you scale or not? You know, that's up to you. I would make sure that you have a very solid fundamental business before you start adding a bunch of people, right? You need to understand all of the parts of your company. Do not think that, oh, I'm really good at acquisitions, but I've never dispoed a deal, but I'm going to hire in this guy and, you know, tell him to watch a couple videos and he's going to be great at dispoing dispo. It's not gonna happen. Like, you gotta sit there in the trenches with your person and teach them how to do that business. So, you know, the people that I see fail the most often are they're people who think they can just hire somebody, throw them in a seat and sort of be hands off and not worry about it anymore, and that person's gonna be fine. And it doesn't work. Like, it never works. Like, it's not gonna work. It hasn't worked for anybody else. You're not gonna be the first person that it works for. And this sort of goes to the whole virtual versus in-office thing. Virtual is cool. Like, I pay in my office, I have $4,000 a month for rent. And we have a nice 6,000 square foot office in Chattanooga. Cheaper than other places in the country, I guess. But, you know, on top of that, there's insurance, there's gas, there's water, there's electric. You know, like, there's a fixed cost of all that, plus our payroll. So, you know, if I had everybody working virtual, I could close that office and probably save $5,000 or $6,000. But what happens is productivity drops when people are working remote. It's very hard to maintain a culture and a good atmosphere when everybody's just sees each other once a day or once a week on Zoom. It may be cheaper, but you're going to give up productivity and, you know, probably ultimately revenue. And most of the people that I've known that have gone, you know, taken their offices virtual, they've brought those people back in or hired new people to work in the office, because, you know, our business is just the type of business where, you know, that camaraderie and that kind of boiler room floor of having everybody together and everybody's kind of on the plan and, you know, here for the business, and everybody's trying to grow together and have competition and that type of stuff. That really is the best recipe for success. So I've never been a big fan of virtual work. You know, I just like to have everybody in the office and have that great kind of around the campfire atmosphere. So scaling, should you do it? It's up to you. Understand that there's going to be a cost involved, and you may make less the first year than you were making before because you're going to be investing money in your team and in your company. And then hopefully, if you do a good job training them, you know, that third year is when you start to see all of that growth. Maybe a little bit quicker, but there's definitely learning curve in there. If I was to lose everything today, I probably wouldn't scale up again. Honestly, I would probably run a really small, light operation. Me and maybe one person, we'd just work in our local market. I'd do 2 or 3 deals a month at, you know, $20,000 or $30,000 and just be happy as a clam and not have to worry about all of that overhead. So either way, hopefully that helps you out a little bit in the decision of whether or not to scale. I'm not for or against it. I just want you to know what some of the pitfalls are from just somebody who has done this a lot. So if that helped you, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, follow, whatever button it is, turn on notifications, and we're doing about 2 of these videos a week. Hopefully you learned something. See you next time.